Story is kind of deep experiences in the system and how I saw things unfold and just the bullshit and lies. When you go in, you are almost brainwashed to believe a certain thing that what prison is supposed to be, and it's definitely not.
So, all right, everybody, this is Aaron Peila. He did almost 14 years in the prisons, BOP, federal prison system. I'm gonna let him explain all that. I wanted to introduce, who he is and what he's doing now. We're gonna go through his life before, during, and after prison, and I'm gonna tag all his social medias in the captions. The floor is yours.
All right. So, leading up to prison, I was just a street kid, just running around, but I found a way. Started some businesses, one foot in the streets, one foot out. You know how that is. You don't really get out completely ever. It's kind of your backbone. It's kind of what you know. It's your comfort zone. Well, I ended up catching a weapons charge in Nevada, so I went to state prison in Nevada. But when I caught that weapons charge, I got put on probation. So when I went to the probation office, they went to my house and found another one. So I went to the state on the first one. The second one sent me federal. So I did my first little bid in the state, caught my parole, went to the feds. When I was in the feds, I was about a year from the door. I had a 46-month sentence, and then I caught a RICO case. So I caught a CCE, I caught a kingpin case. It was a pill case. It was spread out through 5 states, 31 co-defendants. I was the top spot, so I got the kingpin 20 to life, but I was able to plead that down to 12 consecutive, so I had 16 and a half total. I did 13 years, 8 months, 8 days on that sentence. I just barely completed that.
Explain why the
My
feds.
RICO case was called Operation Six Cents because at the time I had a clothing line and a record label called Sickwear Clothing and 6 Sound Records. So it was named, the indictment was named after that. That's what's led me here. So I'm free, finally completed my sentence, doing probation, doing well, trying to get back on my feet and get a little traction in the real world.
Real quick, I wanted to explain to people who don't know what it means when you have fed time compared to state, how much time you do on each year.
So in federal, you do 85%. Like it's mandatory. It's really 87%, but they figured that out, how to get around it. The FBOP is crazy. They kind of just do whatever they want. So Congress passed these laws and they're just like, yeah, whatever, we're going to do these people exactly how we want to do them. Well, the First Step Act was passed in 2017, and it took all the way up until like 2023 for those extra 7 days a year to come off. So it used to be 87%, now it's 85. It was always supposed to be 85. You do your time. Like, that's what it is.
Man.
State, though, is a little different. You got that front number and that back number. So in state, I had a 19 to 48 months. But because I was going to the feds anyway, they cut me loose on my first parole. So it was a 19-month sentence that I had to do over there.
Damn, yeah, that's kind of confusing probably to some people. When I was finishing my time, which I was in the state, I did 6 years, 9 months. It was talking about a new law passing that was going to change for state two to be similar to the Fed time, where it was going to be a certain amount you do on a year. I think it was 10 months or 8 months on a year, or something like that. I don't know.
Yes, they don't have like parole and shit, and you basically you're doing 85%, but you can max out on the other 15. So when you catch a shot, they give you 41 days, they take it away or whatever, 27 days, just depending on the severity of the shot. So you have X amount of days to lose per year.
Right? You talking about a whole shot?
Yeah, like a shot is just a write-up, an infraction.
Okay, some of this stuff we're saying, we know what it means, but the outside world might be like, what's a shot? I know what you meant, though.
Right.
So you just finished up your house arrest time. How's that feel?
Right. Fuck, bro. It's just like 1,000,000 pounds of stress off my shoulders.
Yeah,
When you get released to the halfway house, it's a surreal feeling too, but you still don't have that freedom. You're still in a place with bunks, racks, eating prison food, being in that environment. So, just the small shit, shower sandals, shit like that. That's a big deal, sleeping in your own bed. So I had to do 6 months at that halfway house, and then they allowed me to do the last 4.5 months on an ankle monitor. So I came to my pop's house, and it's still a little uncomfortable. It's different, but it blows anything else out of the water by
yeah,
far. But they still restrict you. You can't go to venues. Like, you can't, like, places where there's going to be a lot of people. The day that I got off home confinement, I went to Lagoon. I went to an amusement park because you couldn't do that. I couldn't submerge the ankle monitor in water. I couldn't be in a large area like an amusement park. You can't go to like concerts and shit like that, shit that you really want to enjoy on the weekend. You can move around and do little small shit, which is great. I'm never going to complain, but it was just cool to be able to have that freedom of choice. And then afterwards to go to a hotel with my girl and stay there, staying overnight somewhere, that's not an option. So it was cool. It was just like being released again.
yeah. Now my somebody I've known since I was about 15, Justin Bradley, we call him JB. I just showed you. Remember, I tagged you yesterday, and or he followed you. He's in the halfway house.
Yeah.
He just did Fed Time. Also, they got him here at CCA in Youngstown. I'm gonna be doing some of the stuff like this with him too, and he's been telling me the same shit. Like, man, I'm home, but I'm not home. You know what I mean? He's like, it's
No, it's
you
like,
know,
it's kind of a frustrating feeling in the sense that you can taste freedom, but you're not quite there. You can look out a window or go out on your little pass, whatever, and you move around in society around civilians and shit, so you can feel that energy, but you're just not
right.
really in the same lane.
You go to NA meetings a lot.
No, I've never been to an NA meeting.
Oh, okay. See, he uses that like kind of as a way to, he's in a program. He just showed me a photo. He got like 12 certificates, shit like that. So,
Right.
helping him too. A lot of people don't realize this right here, what we're doing, me and you, and a lot of other people, the Reentry Project, your homie, a lot of people we know are using this as a platform to stay on the right path. Like people who come in and out of prison, I've noticed a lot of prison content creators, they rack up years that they stay out. And I'm wondering if it's a pattern that this is like something that just reminds you every day of where you came from and what they got waiting for you.
Well, I think words are powerful. So when you put that energy into the world, into the universe, you're
Yep.
held accountable. So you kind of put yourself in check like that,
Mm-hmm.
because going to prison, you feel like you failed anyway. But if you put your word on it and you're out here spitting this shit and saying, this is who I am, and then you don't fulfill that, fuck, that's a whole
Universe
different
got
level of feeling like you failed people. So like I said, I think it holds people accountable to what they're saying on these social media sites.
I like to hear that. I didn't realize you was that much of a spiritual minded person because I think like that too about the universe, God, just a higher power. But what you say will come to pass. You can manifest. If you speak nothing but just negative shit, you're gonna have that come back around whether you want it to or not. So yeah, I like that. You gotta look at things positive. Try to speak it like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna win and make this happen. And eventually, it's like you force the universe to believe it. You believe it, you receive it. Someone I know used to say that all the time.
No, absolutely, that's facts. No, he
So
hit it on the head with that.
yeah, for sure. So that's cool, man. So you're good. They got an idea of now of like what you had going on. You did your time. I'm gonna attach some photos when I edit this. I'm gonna show you. He sent me like 8 different photos of prisons and people he was incarcerated with. I'll add those. But so just go ahead and like jump into a little bit of what you and your homie got going on with like your commissary giveaway. Just a couple little things that you guys are
Okay.
doing. And his
Yeah,
t-shirt.
so we got a cool little group of us. We're doing a weekly commissary giveaway on our social media platform, on our TikToks. So people can enter their loved ones that are in prison. uh, we all have been there. You know, we've been behind the wall, starved out, ground to dust, beat up, and just, you know, wondering when the next meal's coming because either you're in the shoe, you're locked down, you know, your locker's depleted. Like
Yeah.
you go through all these changes while you're in there. So we understand that pressure, that pain. But also, we have Christine from the Loved Ones Coalition, and she knows what it's like to be on the other side where you're trying to hold somebody down who's in prison. You know, she did that through two bids with kids, bills, all the things that you have to go through while still trying to help your loved one in prison survive and even thrive in any means that you can. So we're just trying to give back, just trying to help people out, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I wanted to get that out there. I was kind of curious myself. Like I see it, the live, I'll hurry up and hit like 300 likes. I'll share it, stuff like that. But I still didn't know the very much, very much of the details. Shout out to her and everybody involved. I saw what Joshua Browning, who was also on Blood on the Reservoir TV recently,
Right.
and
Yep.
also I got to go on that show recently. Shout Chad Marks, shout out to him. He's awesome prison content creator. So a lot of these people were mentioning have their own way of doing things, their own reason, their own thing they bring to the table, their own lane. But at the same time, we all represent the same, community. Like, we ain't got to
Right.
put.
No, I mean, it's all about elevating. You know, you get out here, you work hard, you inspire other people to do the same. But if you have the means, you reach back and try and pull other people out too. You know, and that's what it's all about. Not being a statistic because so many people easily fall back into that path because that's what they know, or the opportunities aren't there, or the stresses. You know, there's a lot of factors, but if you can somehow motivate and inspire people to not do that and then help them in other ways, like the commissary giveaway, you know, just show them there's some hope and people who actually give a fuck out here, then that's what you do.
Yeah, like some people don't have it as good as that where they got family. I want to shout out my woman, my fiance. We've been together since we were teenagers, since 2006, and she could have ran so many times. I used to tell her on the phone, just live your life. I am dragging you down. And she would say, no, you're not. Quit beating yourself up. You got this. We got this. And she fucking seen the light at the end of the tunnel before I did. And she would send me money, come visit me, bring me see my three kids. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot. I felt
No,
bad.
see, that's a beautiful thing right there. That's a beautiful thing. You know, a lot of people, when they're behind the walls, they have that level of anger within them and they get entitlement issues. They feel like people owe them and they let them down. And at the same time, it's tough because people got to move on and live their lives. You know, we made the choices that put us there. So it's a double edged sword. You know, it's rough on both sides. But when you find somebody that can see through that fog, bro, that's a rare gem, you know,
I,
and that's a beautiful thing.
I agree very much. That's why I more or less wanted to mention that. I wanted to bring up something kind of random, but it's on topic. You did time at High Desert, right? Is it called High
Right.
Desert? Southern something? What
Yeah.
is it?
High Desert State Prison in Nevada.
You want to talk about anything about like just randomly what that was about? Because I keep hearing about it. Stories of when it was open. It's no longer open, right?
Oh, I believe it's still open.
It is my
Yeah.
bad.
I
Okay,
haven't.
Nate, free and sober. Shout out to him. We were talking about something, and he sent me some news articles and links. I might be getting them confused that they shut one of them down out there where you guys are at, or where he's at.
So there's High Desert and then there's Warm Springs that's right next door. I know there's been a lot of controversy behind both of them because you know there's a lot of cover-ups between COs, a lot of dirty shit going on there,
Correct.
and it's been going on for a long time. So I know there's been a lot of lawsuits and a lot of issues. I haven't really heard anything about either one of them being shut down, but they also sent me to Utah when I got out. So I probably wouldn't hear all that news until it trickled down later down that line. So you might be right. I don't know, but I know it's a fucked up place to do time. I know that for sure, but it's pretty much in High Desert where I was at, it's slammed down. It's a max security. So I mean, even if you're at the most privileged level on that yard, you're still only coming out for, you know, 3 hours a day or whatever. It's just, you know, you start out an hour a day, like you work your way. Sometimes you'll get like an hour on the tier, an hour and a half out on the yard. It's, super political. Just a lot of bullshit going on, a lot of drama. Like I said, the cops are fucking on some bullshit. It's just, when I walked in there on my first day, when I hopped off the bus, uh, they lined us all up, put our head, said, face the wall, put your forehead on the wall. They were taking our cuffs off from behind. And the dude, a couple people down from me, took his forehead off because, I mean, you got a bunch of dudes behind you making noise, racket, taking off cuffs. They're yelling, whatever, talking shit. And he took his forehead off to look behind him, and they just pummeled this dude. Just took his face and face planted into the wall. They just made a demonstration, and I think for real they were just looking for somebody to do it because they knew that somebody would, and they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to just put a demo down for everybody else to see, like, yo, this is how we get down here.
Yeah.
So the cops just beat the hell out of him, and I mean, that shit is commonplace. It's fucked up. It's foul. And
Trauma.
you know how they don't play fair. They don't play
Yeah.
fair. They get you in your cuffed, or, they jump
Oh,
on you, a bunch of dudes. Like, it's a shitty place to be for sure.
Lebanon was similar to that with corruption, and a lot of people from out of state probably don't know, but that's a notoriously known corrupt prison where I did some of my time, and it's the same shit. I'm telling you, like from things I seen and went through, it's very traumatizing. People think, oh, you go to prison, do your time, and come home. There's days that I just randomly think of things that went on there that I'm like, and the COs, they love to fight you down there, so they would literally take off their body cam, take off their walkie, go in the room and fight you while the other CO ain't gonna say shit, and they're gonna be the one to tell y'all if a captain or something's coming. It's like the most fucked up
Yeah.
spot. They're not gonna let you get caught because they want you to handle this shit. Like they don't want no write up, nothing on paper. It's wild, bro. Like,
No, they're over there holding the door and shit.
right. So when he was telling me, he actually sent me a link about a riot, and they lied. It was a 5-man. No, it was an 8-man. It was this man, bro. It was like a 14, 15 person involved, and they started out lying, saying it was like 5 individuals. They tried to cover it up. It snowballed. They found out it was weapons involved. It was all these. They broke lock mechanisms, so it went from one thing to this huge thing that they covered up. And I actually did a
Yeah.
video. That was just my entry into learning about Nevada. I've been kind of looking into like different states, Alabama. So when I found, you, as far as, even though you're from Utah, you did time in different parts. So for anyone who don't understand that, the feds don't keep you in your state, right? They send you wherever the fuck they.
Well, so I'm not actually from Utah. My indictment came out of Utah.
Where you from?
So if you don't
My bad.
give them an address to go to, wherever your last indictment came out of, that's just where they send you.
Oh,
So because my last indictment came out of Salt Lake, that's why they sent me here. I did live up here though for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I was born and raised in San Diego. I lived in Seattle, Boise, Idaho
okay.
Falls, down here, Portland, and then Vegas was where I was living when I caught all my cases.
Hey, I legit.
So yeah, so that's why I was in high desert. I was living in Vegas when I caught the first weapons case, and then I went to state prison out there.
Got you. I really thought you was from Utah, so that's why I said that. But I'm glad now I got it on the same page. I've heard of people going all over the country in the feds. Like you would be like 8 states away from your family. That's crazy to me that I've done time like the farthest was like 6 hours from my house. Hearing people talking about you could be in Atlanta or Nevada or fucking just anywhere. That shit's crazy to me that they fly you on a plane or something.
Yeah, they changed the law as part of the First Step Act. They're supposed to keep you within like 150 miles of your house, your home, whatever your home is in your PSI.
Okay.
But the minute you get in trouble, you're out of there. Like no
They
consideration. You're on the other side of the country,
okay.
So like they fly you on Con Air. Oklahoma City is their central hub for the East. Pahrump is used as their central hub for the West Coast, and that's where they shoot everybody out from. But like I've gone all over. When I got re-indicted, I was in Phoenix at a medium, and I was supposed to just go up to Salt Lake, but they took me all the way to the East Coast. I sat over there, went to a couple counties, came back. Like they just fly you all over the place. But yeah, if you get in any kind of trouble and get shipped, they're sending you somewhere far. Like they don't give a fuck about your family
Or
or how close you are to your loved ones.
man,
Yeah.
uh, it makes sense though, but it's also really fucked up. But I can see why they could probably use that as an excuse to say, "Well, you lost them privileges." You know, they look for any leverage they
Right.
can.
No,
You know,
always. That's what it's all about.
so you do prison content creation now. You are in recovery with well go into that a little bit. You didn't really party, you told me, right, in the joint. You realized you weren't really trying to live like that. So you had some years under you before you came home, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So I think I told you a little bit about it. I went to a rehab in Mexico. I paid for it out of pocket. Obviously, when you're in the streets, there's no health insurance. So, whatever you want, you got to get on your own. So I felt like I needed that in my life for all the wrong reasons, but I wanted to be clear headed. I knew getting high was standing in the way of some of the goals that I was trying to achieve. But those were goals that I was achieving through the dope game. So me going down there was just me trying to get a, a leg up on other D boys. And I did. I got clean. They gave me a psychedelic drug, a psychotropic that cleaned out my system. I
Yeah.
went down there, I tripped out. I was having visions for like 2 days. But this drug, it's called ibogaine, like it cleanses you. So instead of detoxing, like going through withdrawals, because I was doing opiates and Xanax, instead of going through those physical withdrawals, like your body just cleanses while you're having these visions. So you're not really feeling that shit. And
Mm,
it was like a 6 day rehab. So I did that, and that was in 2008. So for 2 years after that, I would be clean for a couple months, and then I would fuck up for like a couple weeks, and I would get clean, and I would just continuously do that. I did that for like 2 years. But when I got arrested, when I went into the county, like the party was over and I knew it. So that was it for me. And I went through that whole process. And in my head, I just kept telling myself, like, yo, you're going to get out in just a few years. Like, be the ultimate you. You know what I mean? Just an elevated version of whatever you were when you came in. So I didn't do anything that got me off of that path. So
mhm.
getting high, that wasn't a part of the process. So I didn't do anything. And then when I caught my RICO indictment, it was more or less the pressure. Like they were putting a lot of pressure on me. They had indicted my kid's mom, were using her as a bargaining chip. It was just a whole lot. And in my mind, they were just trying to crack me. They wanted me to cooperate against a couple people, against Haystack, against one of my other dudes in Vegas. And they were just applying that pressure. And I was telling myself, like, I'm never going to fold. I'm not going to crack. And I'm not going to use a crutch because I'm never going to let you see me weak. So I just embraced that pain. Whatever pressure they threw at me, I just embraced it. And I didn't want to dumb it down. I didn't want to numb my senses. I wanted to feel every bit of it. And by the end, I was welcoming it because it was like, bro, I need this because this
Yeah,
is how I'm going to remember. Don't ever do this shit again because this is what it feels like. So I went through that court process. It took about 3 years to finally get a deal that was manageable. And then I went into the feds and I just kept that same mentality when I went back through. And I drank a handful of times, but as far as doing drugs, never again.
man, that's what's up. For anybody wondering, a lot of people hearing this probably know who Haystack is. You guys have been somewhat in contact. You've known him before prison. He's a rapper from Tennessee, or where's he from?
Yeah, from Nashville.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to go into that, you can. How you guys know each other, or just the simple fact that you do. I thought that was dope when I found that out. That you guys used to kind of work to, what was it like promoting things together, somewhat.
Yeah, so I had my clothing line. I was introduced to his music before I went into that rehab. He had a song called My First Day, and that shit really hit home. It's about detoxing off of opiates. So I heard that song, I listened to it, a bunch of times when I was at that rehab. So when I got out of the rehab, of course, my mind's running a million miles a minute. I'm trying to figure out how to get these clothes off. And it was 2008 during the recession, so a lot of places weren't picking up new brands. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to sell my merch? Well, I get onto his social media platforms, and there was a number. Call this number for booking information for shows. So I call the number. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get a ticket on 3 shows. He's like, all right, yeah, let me see what's up. I'll give you a call back. Well, about 15 minutes later, I get a call back from Haystack, and I can tell his voice is real distinct. So I know it's him, but he's just like, hey, what's up? We just start chopping it up. I let him know, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why I want to do these shows in these different states. So he gives me a ticket for the 3 shows, but we just hit it off. So I'm selling my merch at these shows, and I mean it's going pretty well for me. So from there, it just kind of trickled. It just snowballed into I started my record label. He was trying to leave his label at the time because there were some issues going on there, and we just came together and did a project. So I released an album called Easy to Hate on my label, Six Sound Records, and that was a double disc. I released it October of 2010. Uh, but we've been in contact, on and off ever since. But when the indictment was unsealed, I just quit talking to everybody. So we really didn't talk for maybe the last 10 years that I was bidden. And then when I got out, we got back into contact. So, it's man, it's a
Wow.
lukewarm relationship right now. I won't go into the details of that,
Right. I know.
and I might later on, but as of right now, it's something that I'm really
Personal.
not feeling at this point, but hopefully we'll get it figured out. We'll see.
Facts. I know what you mean, bro. Yeah, I didn't. That's why I wanted to see how far you wanted to go into it, but I also wanted to let people know that you know Haystack, and you told me the whole story, and I thought it was fucking wild. A couple days ago, I'm like, that's like some shit you see or hear on TMZ or something. It's crazy. So the fact that
Yeah,
you
no, that's big bro. He's always been big bro. He's my son's godfather. I've always had a lot of love for him and shit. And we've always figured shit out, but it sucks when certain things in your life you feel like it might be time to move on, but you still have that love and connection for whatever it is. You're kind of
right
conflicted. So, we'll see where it goes. I still
to be
have
continued.
some unfulfilled music that was supposed to be made and produced. So, I still might do that, but I don't know. It's kind of up in the air right now.
Right, to be continued on that. So what so where are you right now? You got a woman, right? Are you guys like together? Are you engaged? I remember you do got a woman, right? Did you meet
Right. So I'm with
her?
Cello. Uh, we were dating before I went to prison. So 17 years ago we met, and we were on and off. She's up here in Utah. So I had a condo in Vegas and I had a house up here in Utah, and I was back and forth. And I ended up, it was just too hot for me up here. So I got rid of my place up here and I was just living full time in Vegas. And when that happened, it kind of just caused a rift, like, because I stopped coming back up here. And, she kind of just went her way. I went mine. We would still see each other in passing here and there. And then I went to prison. Uh, I had my kid's mom, and my son. That was the most important thing to me. So the first 4 years, it was just all about them. But when I caught that second indictment, or I guess third indictment, because the state won too, but she was on there. And that just pretty much tore us apart. So I just went my own way and just did my time. Like, I tried to separate myself from the streets because that was the easiest way for me to do it. When you have all that time, it's hard to live in 2 places at once. So I just let it all go and just figured, you know what? If people come back into my life, they come back into my life, but I'm not chasing anything. I'm just gonna just do my time, stand on my own 2 feet, and then when I get out, we'll see where the shit lies. Well, when I got out, she had had 3 kids and, been through whatever, a tumultuous marriage or whatever she had going on. And then I ended
So
up getting on social media because I was talking to somebody who lived in Australia, like on and off while I was in prison, and she told me to get an Instagram. So I did. And then you know how social media just links you up with people or whatever. So like I was really in slow motion as far as the social media platforms go, because when I got out after, 13 plus years, I was just trying to wrap my mind around the world. Like, how do I function as a civilian? Like I didn't want social media at first, and people were telling me, hey, you need to do this. It'll open up opportunity for you. And I was like just bucking on it, really, just like, no, I'm cool. Let me ease my way into this world, like, because
right.
that's gonna just smack me right in the face. Uh, so it took me a couple months to get on Instagram, and then maybe like a month after that, it ended up linking us up, and we just started bullshitting and talking or whatever, and then slowly shit develops and shit. But it's crazy because when you're in prison, I wasn't all about the war stories. I never really did that. It was just like whatever.
Mhm.
People always want to boast themselves up and talk, oh, I banged this many women at this party and made all this money and had all these whips and
So
like,
many stories.
doing all this shit. Like I was never really with that, but uh I did always say like, damn, the one that got away was Cello. Like, because
Uh,
like when we were together, we always had fun. Like that was my ride or die. Like, and I always kicked myself in the ass, like, damn, I fucked that one up, bro. Like, what's wrong with me? And when I got out and I ended up getting that second chance, boy, I fucking grabbed onto that shit with both hands. Like,
mhm.
you're mine. Like, so that's where we're at. Like, just riding tough. So it's a good thing, like, to have somebody that's known you all those years, as and seen you develop into the person that you are, and shed some of those bad habits and who you were in the past and shit. So it's cool. It's good. It's comfortable. She's uh she's great as a support system, and she can just see like, okay, like, yeah, you're a little fucked up. Like, you did some time and shit. Like, you're not all the way right, but I can see past that shit because I know who you are in your heart.
Now I remember all this from the other day. I just wanted you to explain it to everybody because when you told me, it reminded me, kind of me and her as teenagers. I'm like, that's crazy because you said y'all had a little history, it had a gap. You got back with her, you really appreciated it. So I knew that I wanted you to explain that so that the viewers could kind of see. That's a beautiful thing for real. It is like for real.
No,
We
you can't. It definitely taught me that you can't discount any encounter or relationship that you have, because separation, sometimes that just happens with life, the process and experiences, but you just never know what that might bring to you down the road. So, how you treat somebody today, you just don't know how that's going to turn out in 5, 10, 15 years,
very true. We wish you nothing but the best and good vibes, man, with that. And
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate it.
you're living a good life now. You're off your little whatever, but you are still finishing parole, right?
Right.
Or
So,
yeah, that's
uh, I got 3 years of probation. They don't call it parole in the federal system. They did away with like the parole board, like 20, 30 years ago or something. They just call it probation. But yeah, I got 3 years. I don't really know how strenuous or strict they're going to be on it. I'm just kind of figuring it out right now. I had my first meeting. I'm waiting to get like my house checked and all that shit. So we'll see how it goes. I've never really had the greatest experiences, but everybody says that like federal paper is different. They definitely try to work with you and try and help you in ways that other systems don't. So we'll see.
and only you know you're making the choices that are good for you and your girl and whatever else situation. So it's not like no one else can cause you to fuck up or get violated. We all know that as a man, we take accountability, and I could tell that you're on that path where I don't feel like you probably don't got nothing to worry about with that. I had 3 years and completed it in one. Anybody could do it. It's just
No
what.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. But in Ohio, it might be different. We got PRC. They go. You got 3 years in prison. My bad. 3 years PRC, 1 year mandatory. I'm like, okay, so I only got to do one. Yeah, but if I want, you could stay for three. I'm like, all right. Well, when that 1 year hit, they gave me a review, and she's like, sign this. It's your yearly review. I didn't really think nothing of it. I signed it, went and left. A week later, she called and goes, hey, you're good. I'm like, I'm good. She's like, yeah, your yearly review came back. But mind you, I had 12 months of clean urines at my MAT program. If you know, you know, it's a medication and a IOP. But I did 12 clean urines, and I didn't encounter the cops at all. That's all they care about, bro. So you know,
Yeah, hopefully that's all it is. Because I mean, I told her I'm like, I'm the last person you're gonna have to worry about, dropping dirty. Like, I know you got to chase around a bunch of people all the time who are being deceptive and shit. Like, you don't got to worry about that with me. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've just never had good experiences. Like, I mean, you get PTSD from going through that shit like throughout
right.
your lifetime. Like, these people are trying to bury me. They're not trying to help me. So, hopefully it's a different experience with a different mindset.
Piggyback off of that, you are literally the first person I've ever heard use that phrase, and I can make sense of it. Every single time that I have ever been around a PO or anything, I get this feeling that I can't explain. Even when I went and was done with everything, and I was going to everything was just going so smooth. I had nothing to worry about. I still would get this feeling in the pit of my stomach, like I'm gonna go in here and she's gonna grab me and cuff me up. And I don't know why. My girl literally said,
Nah,
"Well,
that's what it is, bro. It's like,
because they have done that to us." You know what I mean?
right.
In the
No,
past.
I
So,
think 4 out of the last 5 times I went in, I came out in cuffs. So when I went in last Wednesday,
but
I think it was maybe Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever. And I told her, I was like, I've been stressed out since last night about this shit. And I don't got anything to hide or anything to worry about. So, like, it's just from experiencing those things in the past. Like, that's just what your body's conditioned to. That's what your mind's conditioned to. Like, that's where it's going to go no
yeah,
matter what you got going on.
it's our nature. It's their job to try to catch us. It's our job to try to get away with it. And even when you're not doing nothing to get away with, your body and your brain doesn't forget. It's just a carnal
Right.
nature believe that they're on this side, we're on this side, and even though we could walk in unison and do the right thing, you'll never forget the times that went wrong.
So, you know, I would definitely like to go into some of that shit on a part two. As you know, I went to high desert first. Then I was at a medium security in the feds. Then I went to a USP, which is a high security, and then I went back down to a medium security.
Okay.
Uh, all on the West Coast, where the politics are thick. So I went in there disillusioned. When you go to prison, and especially me being hard headed, prideful, uh, all these things where I kind of ran what was going on in my life and other people's lives as well. You go in believing that prison politics is factual, and then when you experience the shit firsthand, you realize it's bullshit. Like you understand that the selfishness that underlines a lot of those things is real, and it's not about the unity or a cause or any of that shit. Uh I was at USP Victorville, Southern California, right outside of LA. So a lot of that California politics runs that yard. I saw a lot of vicious shit, shit that's never gonna leave. It's buried deep in me. When you see people get butchered, and by the time you're done, it doesn't even affect you. You know you're not right, because that's not normal.
Mm-mm.
Uh, there were certain situations that I've seen that definitely hit closer to home because not everything is warranted. There's certain times though where you're like, fuck it, that dude had it coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
People who victimize, women and children and shit. You
Wood
know,
chip.
you're not going to lose sleep out over that. But when you see situations where somebody's unalived or takes their own life because they fear what's about to happen to them and it's not even warranted, those are the type of things that stick with you because those things could happen to anybody because of the politics. So for people who believe like those politics, their law and their because of honor and there's all these codes that, you know, like because that's what I believed. But, you know, there's very few that are really about that and stick to those codes because that's just what it's supposed to be about honor. You know, the prison system, that demographic of people has just imploded because of the drugs. There's so many synthetic drugs, and that's the driving force behind everything in prison. It's falling apart. So if you think you're going to go and find honorable people, you know, it's going to be a small percentage. The prison system is fucked up, and it trickles throughout the whole thing, not just the people in prison, but the people working there too. So, you know, like I said, maybe on another episode we'll go into, you know, certain specifics, but I just want that to be known. Like it's
Yeah,
a lie. You know, it's a facade. So people who are still holding it up, you know, in that light, like it's something to be proud of or glamorize or glorify that, that's not reality. You know, coming
yeah,
home, being with your family, doing right by your kids, that's honor. You know, that's respect. And
very much.
that's where your heart should be.
Hey, I respect everything you just said. That's all that matters to me. I just made a video tonight with my grandma, my mom, my brother, me, my girl, my kids, and it made me kind of realize it. I've been home 21 months. I did almost 7 years, and I still wake up days and think about jail. I still go, man, it's almost 4 p.m. They're all doing standing count. What is so and so doing? What is so and so doing? Oh, so and so ain't never going home. Wonder what he's doing. Like, it's just wild. But it puts your life and, your thinking into a different thought process. And when you was talking about the synthetic things and all that, I seen that too, bro. I seen D boys that were out here. Even Hoag's CO that he retired from ODRC. I was in prisons that he was in, and then he contacted me on TikTok and was like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Keep it up." He was on one of my lives saying, "What's crazy is I've watched multiple generations of dudes that were D boys out here come in there and sell their shoes for one more hit of some tune. It's crazy, bro. Like the shit's
No,
changing.
it's facts.
Wow." It's wild. And shout out to JD Delay, because when you said with that about the predators and this and that, and I said wood chipper their ass, that's where I got that from. But you know that. All these people that we've mentioned in this video, like I said, they play a different part. And I just saw his shirts today is why it made me think that it was Mr. Chippy. And it shows an actual wood chipper. Did you see it with the little evil face on it? You ain't see it?
Nah, I haven't seen
It
it.
was cool. Yeah, I was just saying, like,
Uh-uh.
you mentioned that though, and that's true. There are people who are fucked up that deserve shit. Like certain, I was just watching last night a dude who they asked him if he was a cho and this and that. They beat him up and he ended up being unalived. And there was people in the comments saying, "Oh, that's horrible, this and that." And majority of the people were saying, "Fuck him. He deserved it." He was doing time for a potty training video, bro. Yeah, like that's some sick shit. Like they gave him football numbers for that, so he wasn't ever going home. But he only made it like a couple weeks because they beat him and he ended up being unalive. Some people would have compassion for that, but we got people who got kids and shit, bro. And part of your carnal, animalistic nature, you're like, fuck that dude. You know what I mean? I don't want him in the world anyways. So it's like how you want to look at it. I don't know. Prison shows you the worst of the worst, though. I know you know what I mean, bro. You meet people in there that people out here don't even realize it's possible for them to be breathing the same air as us.
No, I was just watching a movie earlier today and they were out in a rec cage, you know, and it just gave me that feeling and that reminder because, you know, you're in a world that you have no control over. And at the drop of a dime, you might not ever go home. And so you always have that uneasy feeling that, you know, like any minute could be it. Like, cause you just don't know. You have no control over this shit.
Head on a
And that's
swivel.
a fucked up way to live, because what other people are going through or what they've done might be your own demise in one way or another. You might have to do something so drastic that it's over with for you. And to walk around like that, hanging over your head at all times, fuck that anxiety, that ball, that knot that's in the pit of your stomach, that shit rides with you through a whole bid when you're doing it like that.
You see the movie Shot Caller, even though it's like a fake, made up belief.
That's crazy because
Concept.
that is exactly the movie I was talking about. It just reminded me because when I was in Nevada State Prison, I was in the hole, and that was like our wreck out there, just like that. And I just remember that feeling, like, damn, bro, this might be it at any moment, like, because that's just what it is. Like, you have to do what you have to do, and sometimes it might be some shit that you might not ever come back from.
Yeah, when you said that, it got me thinking about how dude's a regular everyday Joe, and then he does a little 3 years, turns into what, like 7 years, goes home, comes back, never goes home, and it's because of his gang life. And that's another thing you was just saying with the whole, head on a swivel, paranoid, this and that. I hated that part. Like, I came home paranoid because of that. I got sick of everybody else's problems becoming my problems, and vice versa. Where like I'd be minding my own business and people would be like, "Hey, Pat, put your shoes on, bro. Come on, so and so just disrespected so and so. We're gonna go pull up on him and let him know about himself." All right, and then 20 minutes later, I'm in the hole going, "Fuck." My girl don't even know where I'm at. I'm in the hole with a black eye, and all of us are on the range, hooting and hollering, yelling back and forth, clowning like this shit's funny, and I'm just sitting in the hole of my cell going, "Fuck." We just all crashed out for what? You know what I mean? So people who think like nor is, and I have nothing to do with that. So if anybody hearing what I'm trying to comprehend what I'm saying, you could be minding your own business, but that type of life, when you choose it, everyone's business becomes your business, and you get dragged down with it.
No, I'm not even a gang member, and
Yeah, I know.
I had to live under the same type of code.
I know. Explain to them about that.
So it doesn't matter who you are, any walk of life.
Right. And go.
So in the federal system, the Nevada system was different. You had the woodpile and you had gang members who basically controlled the yard. But when you get to the feds and you get to a high security like a USP, everybody's got high numbers. So nobody's going to be controlled by anybody. So the gang members don't control the non-gang members as far as the whites go, and the natives too, a lot of the other cars too, but specifically with us, like, you come in, you're not a gang member, you're an independent white boy, and an independent white boy, you're basically like a gang. So nobody puts their hands on the independent. If the independent's got to go, the other independents do it. You have to put in work, mandatory. You're going on a mission. You have to live by certain politics. It's no different. So if you walk in thinking that you can avoid that shit by not being a gang member, it doesn't matter if you're a gang member or not. You're going to
Right.
live by that code, by those rules, and you're going to do what you have to do. Like, that's just the bottom line. So there's that separation with us, with our car, with the gang members and the independents. But at the same time, if something happens, you guys are going together if it's against another race. But if a gang member puts their hands on an independent, that whole gang might just get removed by the independents. So it's an uneasy truce, because you're both white, but at the end of the day, that shit can flare up at any moment. But like I said, you might be able to think, oh, I'm not a gang member, I can avoid this or that or whatever. You go to the feds and you're white, you're gonna basically have to live like you're in a gang. It's the same
Right.
type of politics.
As you were saying, I'm thinking it's crazy. You're part of it no matter what. The COs want to know what car you're in. The convicts want to know what car you're in. So regardless whether you are in a gang slash organization or whether you're not, you're still living like that. So anyone hearing this, just know prison ain't fun. If you don't want to go to, be around these situations every day and watch people epping out on a synthetic stupid thing and crashing out over here and all this crazy corruption and missing your family, homesick, head on a swivel, hand to hand combat, all that corny ass shit we've been talking about. This is exactly why we do what we're doing right now, letting you know this is what's going on. And as simple as that. It's just, you gotta network and get this information out there. Prison is this is what's going on. A lot of people are interested, they're intrigued by it, but they don't really see the actual truth of it.
No, that's definitely what we're doing. Just spread awareness. That's
Sure.
just what it is. So, there's no glory left. It's a long, painful, miserable road. Just know that.
Man, I know you probably got people still in there, right?
One of my guys he's got all day, but he's going back through the course right now. So I'm hoping, I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think he's gonna get some love and get his shit overturned. But yeah, I feel like it's healthy to be able to talk to, at least a couple people here and there just to keep that fresh in your mind. Like, damn, we have it so good out here, no matter what we're going through. Uh, because what they're going through back there is fucked up. Like the shit isn't right. So
Right. You called it all day, and I already know you mean he got an L, right? And Tim, I've never heard that. Is that what you meant?
yeah,
Hey, that's a new one for me. That's probably some
yeah,
wet.
yep,
Yeah, that's wild. We call it like football numbers, or they got an L, stuff like that. But that's like the first time I heard it phrased like that. And that's another thing I'm gonna make videos on here soon is all the different phrases and words and slangs that you hear that you would never think means certain shit, but it does. So we'll definitely do a part
right,
two. Sure. Anytime that you got
all
time,
right,
let me know. You know what I mean? So you want me to tag all your socials in it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
I'm gonna have you tell me real quick what all you got: TikTok, Facebook, what else?
yeah. TikTok, Facebook, and IG.
IG.
My IG is, I mean, you can obviously look my name up, Aaron Peila. It's 1of 1.1000 on IG, and then Aaron Peila, Facebook, TikTok, Peelaroni or Aaron Peila. So,
Okay.
you can look me up by my first and last name. I got a couple different handles though.
I wanted you to say it so they hear it, but I'm also gonna display it that way. It's like they could just click right on it. But that way, one or the other, because I want to really try to make people be able to find you after this interview, so that they can't just see this and not know where you're at. After this, if they want to interact with you, since you post a lot, you're an engagement, interactive type of content creator. People like that. I'm sure they're gonna want to follow your journey, so we're gonna make that possible for them.
Yeah, I
Cool, man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, bro. Enjoy the rest of your night, man. Good vibes y'all way. Everybody stay safe, stay free, stay blessed. Call me tomorrow.
All right.